Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be making Eeyore to go with our Winnie the Pooh collection. Let's jump right into this. So first things first, color. The color, this one is Arctic, and that's for this color. I'm going to turn my light up a little bit. And the second color I used for him is the same brand, but it's called Cornflower, Corn Husker. Let me look. Cornflower is this color. So, he is built flat because he's got, if you look at a picture of him, he's got the two colors. So that's the Arctic and this is the Cornflower, and the same on his arm. This is Arctic and Cornflower, and then I did a Cornflower belly. In his ears, I don't think I have the pink color. This pink color, I do have it. It's called Baby Pink, and it's a Bernat Super Value. And this pink color down here was a completely different color, and I don't have the tag for that, but that's the color. And it almost looks fuchsia with the light on it. It's just a darker, deeper. Turn the light down a bit, you get more of an accurate color. So that's what I did for his tail, and then of course the black. Now I didn't stitch him up with black because it actually looked horrible when I started doing it. So I just stitched them up with the color that I either or that I casted off with, or that I fastened off with. So the only black that I did to make him look like a sewn together doll was there, and then I did the black safety eyes, and then I did the black and his eyebrows, black here, all the way around for a mane. Turn my light back up. All the way around for a mane. And then on the end of his tail, the tail is flat with a button. So that's what we're doing today. I'm going to make the appendages and the ears and stuff all first before I start the body, because they take the longest, but everything other than the body is built flat and sewn together. So pretty beginner basic. I've already made one ear, but this is what the ear is going to look like. So you need your Arctic blue or a blue, whatever colors you're using, and then pink for the inside. These two are built exactly the same, so I'm just going to do the one with you. And I will do mine in blue, so it's easier for you to see. But you're going to do 2 blue and 2 pink, the exact same pattern that I'm going to show you. I'm going to use a 4.5 millimeter hook. You're going to need a stitch marker for the body. We don't need one right now because we're building flat. So you need to make a slip knot. I'm going to turn my light down just a touch. It doesn't need to be quite that bright that it whitens everything. Excuse me. You're going to chain 3. Then you're going to put 2 single crochets, because that's all you can do. You have 2 working chains. The third one is on your hook. So you're going to put a single crochet in each of those 2 working chains. You're going to chain 1 and you're going to turn. You're going to put 2 single crochets in this first stitch. You're going to put 2 single crochets in the last stitch. You're going to chain 1 and you're going to turn. You're going to put 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the next, 1 single crochet in the next, and 2 single crochets at the end. So this is how we're going to increase. We're going to do 2 single crochets at the beginning and the ends of each row, and then single crochets in between. Chain 1 and turn. 2 single crochets at the beginning. We're still increasing. Then you're going to do 4 single crochets all the way to the end, 1 in each stitch, and then you're going to put 2 single crochets in the last stitch. Chain 1 and turn. You have 8 stitches. For this row, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of those 8 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. Oh, I just had a really big sneeze. Made me dizzy. 2 single crochets in the first stitch. You're going to do 6 single crochets, 1 in each stitch. And then you're going to do 2 single crochets in your last stitch. Chain 1, turn your work. So for the next 12 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch. And then we'll start decreasing. So you should have 10 stitches. So make sure for the 12 rows that you're counting 10 stitches. And if you don't have one of these bad boys yet, this is called a row counter. This actually came free from Hobby Lobby because the order I placed. They sent me a free one. But you can buy ones, I don't have my other one here. You can buy ones off of Amazon. You can buy a package actually of 3 of them that have lights and everything from Amazon. So for the next 12 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 10 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So I am done my 12 rows. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. So this is what you should have. So we're going to start decreasing now, but we're going to decrease in the center. Aesthetically, it looks better. So we're going to do 4 single crochets. Then you're going to SC2 tog, which is a decrease. Then you're going to do 4 single crochets. You're going to chain 1 and turn. You're going to do 4 single crochets. You're going to SC2 tog, so you're going to single crochet 2 together, which is a decrease. And you're going to do 3 single crochets. Chain 1 and turn. Now you're going to do 3 single crochets. You're going to decrease and 3 single crochets. You're going to chain 1 and turn. So aesthetically, it looks better when you do it this way. You're going to do 3 single crochets. You're going to decrease again. And then you're going to do 2 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. 2 single crochets. Decrease. 2 single crochets. chain 1, turn your work. For the next 5 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 5 stitches. So once you come to the end, you're just going to fasten off. This is what I would suggest, is using the blue, because it puts this border around it, to sew your pink on. But from here, you're going to make 2 pink and 2 blue. Well, 1 blue now, we just did 1. So you need 2 altogether, 2 blue and 2 pink, exact same patterns. Fasten off the pink, keep a sewing tail for the blue to sew these 2 together. I'll put my patterns on the screen and I'll meet you right back here. So once you're done all your pieces, just tuck these guys away. It's all getting sewn together, so you don't have to be super serious about. But leave a nubby so you know which side is the side you're tucking. So I'm going to use the blue to sew mine together. You can use whatever color you want. So once you got all your ends you want, so put them together. Now this looks smaller because this is a completely different yarn than what I used with the blue, but there's only a rim difference for the 2. So I did not sew these together, I crocheted these together, and that is how I got this look. So, using the blue, hoping I have enough tail. So just grab your yarn if you've cut a tail. Go into your pink, into your blue, make a stitch. So you're going to have to create stitches all the way around. So just stick your hook in wherever you can stick your hook in. You have the beginning of every single row that you're going to be able to use. So there are holes there, use them, and single crochet all the way around. So I'm all the way back around. You just need to stretch it out a bit and stuff just to relax the stitches. So I'm all the way back up here. I'm going to go into my first stitch and I'm going to do a slip stitch and I'm going to fasten off. So you need a sewing tail to sew it to the head. And that is 1 ear. So go ahead and get your other ear done. Mine's already done, so I will see you. And this one's relaxed, so you can see the difference. This one's relaxed. I stretched it and stuff, and it's all nice and relaxed. This one's still a little stiff, but it gets there. You just need to stretch it out, move it around, relax your stitches. So go ahead and finish your second one, and then we'll get started on the arms. So these are the arms. I've already built one, obviously, for the video. I want you to make the green one first. So I have a green one here. So I'm going to be using my blue, but it's probably better if you make the green one first, and then you can use the blue to crochet the two together. I'm not sure if I crocheted these or if I sewed them. I just sewed the two ends together, but again, you want to use the blue. So make the green first. These are going to be both the exact same pattern, just like the ears, just in two different colors. So I've already made the green for the video because I want to show you how to do it in blue so that I have the blue to sew the two ends together. So mine's going to be the opposite color as yours. But start with the green. You need to make 2 green and 2 blue. So you are going to chain 4. The only reason I'm saying to use the blue to sew him together is because that's his main color, and that's why I say that. You got 3 working chains. You're going to put a single crochet in each of them, so 3 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. We're going to increase again, same way we did the last one. So 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the middle, 2 single crochets at the last stitch. Chain 1, turn your work. 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 3 single crochets in between, 2 single crochets in the last stitch. Chain 1, turn your work. You should have 7 stitches, and for the next 3 rows you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of those 7 stitches. Now you're going to do 3 single crochets. We're going to start decreasing. 3 single crochets. SC2 tog stands for a decrease. Stands for single crochet 2 together. And 2 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. For the next 16 rows, you should have 6 stitches because we only took away 1. For the next 16 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches. So trust me, it goes pretty fast. And then we're going to decrease again when we come back. Alright, that's my 16. So we're just going to decrease once, and then we're going to be done. And then you can go ahead and make your... well, actually, I'll show you what I did with sewing them together. You can make all your pieces. So your last round is just going to be 2 single crochets, a decrease, and 2 single crochets. And this just comes down to shape, really. I mean, you're going to say, what is the point of that? Taking away 1 stitch. It just, when you sew the 2 together, it makes this end smaller than this end because I didn't want it look like you had 2 hands. When we sew this on, we're sewing through and through the body. So it does actually come in handy. We're sewing through and through. So you're going to have a little indent, but because we want the arms to move, the legs we did not do that to. We just sewed them to the bottom. But I wanted the arms to move, so another reason I kind of wanted to lose a stitch or two there, so I just chose to do one decrease. So, get that out of the way. So, you can fasten off. You're going to need a sewing tail, and the reason I didn't crochet them together is because it was too big of, too bumpy. It's too big. I also tried to sew it with the black because, I mean, if you look at a picture of Eeyore, he has the sew marks on his arms and legs as well, but that looked horrible, so I opted to just use the cornflower blue, or whatever color you're using, for him to sew him together. So you need quite a long tail, like long tail. So I guess it doesn't matter if you make the blue or the green first or not. There's a big truck outside making a whole pile of noise. I don't know if you can hear that. Banging around, getting my dog going. These are the same size, or the same yarn, so they're going to be the exact same size, unlike the pink. But I wanted that defined ridge around there, and that's why I used a different yarn. And then I just whip stitched. You didn't do any fancy stitches, I just whip stitched. So you can go ahead and make, you need 2 green and 2 blue, whatever color you just did with me. So, and then sew them all together and stuff them. The ears we didn't stuff because they're pretty thick, we didn't really need to. And they hang, they don't stick up, they hang down. So go ahead and you get your arms together. And I will see you. I'll put my pattern on the screen and I'll see you on the other side. Alright, legs. Let's build some of these in this color here. Might be easier to see. Anyway, the legs, they're pretty easy peasy. They're not as wide. They are longer though. A little bit. So, you're going to chain 7. Actually, I haven't made these yet, so I don't even have one to show you other than what's on the doll. But you're going to do 6 single crochets because you have 6 working chains. So I found Eeyore to be easy just because he's built like a stuffed animal already. So he was easy. Chain 1, turn your work. For the next 18 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches. And then you're going to fasten off. You're going to make 2 Arctic and 2 cornflower, whichever. Now I don't remember which is which. You're 2 blue, 2 greenish blue. 2 of each. Sew them together just like you did the arms. Stuff them. And I will see you on the other side. So I got both my legs done and sewn together, and they're so similar to the arms. They are shorter by a little bit, but they're so similar to the arms that I put a little pin in this so that I can separate them while they sit here so I can sew the body. So I got a pin in this one too. So I just put some pins so I know which are which, and we can get started on the body. So let's start building the body. We're going to build from the head down. So you're going to need to make a magic ring. We're going to put 6 single crochets inside this magic ring. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. So this will bring it up to 12 stitches. So after your first stitch, that's where the marker goes in. We're not slip stitching or chaining 2. We're building this amigurumi, so we go just straight into the stitch. Now you can put your second stitch in there. So 2 single crochets in each stitch around. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. That's 1 single crochet. And your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. This will bring you up to 24 stitches. That's number 1. That's number 2. And then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. This will bring you up to 30 stitches. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets, and then the next stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets, and then your next space gets 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. So your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase. This is going to be your last increase. This will bring you to 42 stitches. And then I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of those 42 stitches for 6 rows. But first let's do the increase. So that's number 1. That's 5 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. If I can get back in my loop, 2 single crochets in the same space. So repeat this all the way around, and then do your 6 rows. I'll put my screen up, and I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have. I'll take my row counter off. So your next, we're going to start decreasing. So your next round is going to be 5 single crochet and a decrease, because we ended with 5 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's 5 single crochets, and then your decrease. Now you can do an invisible decrease, or you can do a normal decrease. And an invisible decrease is you go into the front loop, and yarn over, pull through, go into the second front loop, pull through, and pull through all 3. So that's an invisible decrease. You don't have to do an invisible one, you can do just a regular one. That's just the whole stitch. It's the exact same thing, just the whole stitch. It's just supposed to cut down on gaps, so that you don't have a lot of gapping. So that's my last one. That's my one before. So when it's stuffed, you won't have any holes. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease. So I like to use my invisible stitches when I'm stacking decreases, because stacking them and doing a regular decrease can really make big holes, and I don't want that. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets and then your decrease. Whatever decrease you choose to do. So this should give you 30 stitches when you're done. So then I want you to do 1 single crochet in each of those 30 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets and then your decrease. So bring it down to 24 stitches. So before we go any further, I want to put some eyes in. So according to my notes, I did between the 8th and 9th row. Make sure your thing is at the back from the center ring. So this is 8th and 9th row. These are 12mm safety eyes. And I said I did them 5 stitches in between, so that means visible stitches. So that's 5, so the other one should go here. So when you think you've got that looking right, you and snap your backs on. And we can continue. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets, and it'll bring you down to 18 stitches. We're building the body on as well. We're not going to be closing this. That's number 1. That's 2 single crochets. And repeat. You can start putting stuffing in this. So I like to push my stuffing out all the way around and then fill the center hole. And then just repeat the process until it's as round and stuffed as you want it. So I'm not going to overstuff at this point, because I don't want to struggle to hold on to it, which I'm going to anyway, but I always do. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. So this is where our numbers start getting all wonky. So we start increasing for the body. So that's 1 single crochet and then your increase. 2 single crochets in the same stitch and repeat. So your next round, this gave me 29 stitches, so our numbers start getting a little bit weird. Our next row is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's number 2, and an increase. And repeat. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets and then your increase. So 2 single crochets in the same space. This gets pretty squishy. Should have 45 stitches. Next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. That's 4 single crochets and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So for the next 10 rows, this is what it should look like right now. For the next 10 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch. I have 54 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So I've got my 10 rows done, and he looks like a chunky monkey, because that's kind of the way I wanted him. Because Eeyore is lazy and he's depressed, and you know, fatness comes with that, unfortunately. We're going to start decreasing now, And we're going to do a 4 single crochet decrease because we ended with a 4 single crochet increase. So that's number 1. That's 4 single crochets, and then your decrease. So I'm going to do an invisible, so front loop only. All the way around. And then after this, so you should have 45 stitches, if my numbers are correct. I'm not sure. They seem weird. You should, after this, just do 1 single crochet in each stitch. I'll put my pause screen up. So I had 45. Your next round is going to be is going to be 3 single crochet and a decrease. And this will bring you down to 35 stitches, which seems weird. And then you're going to do 1 single crochet in each of those 35 stitches. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets. And then your decrease. Now you can do a regular decrease. You don't need to do, it's just, I decided I was going to do it. It's a preference thing. Nothing that you have to do. You can go into the whole stitch. You do the exact same thing, you just go into the whole stitch. So, people do invisible stitches different too. Some people will yarn over a couple of times. Me, I just do the regular invisible stitch. So this is what you should have. I started to stuff mine. He's pretty roly-poly now, so I'm not sure if I did a good thing by doing that. It's going to be harder to show you on camera what I'm doing, but I think you understand what I'm doing. Can't zoom out any further. So your next round's obviously going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and then 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So it's just going to be harder to show you. Although I think you know what you're doing when I say it's 2 single crochet decrease. That's number 1, always with the marker. 2 single crochets and then your decrease. And then your next round after this will just be your 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So, getting close. So, your next 2 rounds are going to be the same. Oops, sorry, my camera just slipped. Scared me. Your next 2 rounds are going to be the same. Both of them, and I'll put them up on my screen, both of them are going to be 1 single crochet decrease. It just gives a better look on the bottom. So that's 1 single crochet and then your decrease. And then we are going to fasten off and we're going to cinch it closed. So I'm just coming up on my last round of 1 single crochet decrease. I have stuffed it to capacity, I think. I don't think I need any more. Now I can't finish my last decrease, so because we're at the end of it, I'm just going to put another decrease. Like, I can't finish the last sequence, the 1 single crochet, so I'm just going to put decrease in because we are all done. So you can go into your next stitch and you can fasten off. You just need enough to cinch this shut and weave a little bit. So not a whole lot. So if you feel that you need more stuffing, now is the time to do it. I've lost my needle. There it is. So I'm just going to go into the front loop and out the front loop. Once you're all the way around, just pull it shut. You're going to come across and you're going to make a knot. So go through the loop. When you pull back and forth, it tightens that knot right down. So that's what your bottom should look like. It should be nice and neat. So you got a little bit of a lump here. You're just going to go in to weave, and that'll pull that lump right down. So that's what your bottom should look like. And doing it that way, it's a much nicer look. So just weave a couple of times back and forth. And we are all done that. So we can start sewing stuff on, and then we'll get to the muzzle and stuff. So let's do the ears first. I'm not going to sew all this on with you because it's a lot, but now the ears, I just made sure I put them over each eye. You need room in the middle for all the hair that's going to go there. So I just lined them up. So I'm about 3 rows down here. So I make sure I'm 3 rows down there. And that's how I lined it up, just like that. So you want them to hang down pretty far, and you want enough space up here for all the hair you're going to put on. So you can do invisible stitches, or you can do any kind of stitch you want. Me, I'm just going to grab some of the doll and pull through, and then I'm going to grab the stitch and pull through. So doll and stitch, doll and stitch, doll and stitch. Just make sure you're in the right spot. So this is called invisible stitching. So when you come down and you grab the doll, and then you grab some of the doll and grab some of the stitch, it'll suck your yarn down underneath, and you shouldn't, technically you shouldn't see it. You just gotta make sure you pull tight. So I don't think mine's back far enough. I gotta pull mine out. You gotta make sure it's back far enough that you're gonna be able to put eyebrows on. And I just don't feel like mine is back far enough. Anyway, get your ears sewn on. I'm gonna do mine off camera because it's way easier for me. And I will see you on the other side. So this is what I've got. He's super cute, but he looks like a rabbit right now. So, and I've got this bump I don't like up here. So I'm not sure if I sewed that on in the right spot. Close enough. It's gonna have all kinds of hair up here. Let's sew the arms on. I put pins in here, so I knew which ones the arms and the legs were. So the arms are going to go through and through, just so that they move. Something fun for the kids. So I've got a great big long metal needle. Should have done this before I put the ears on. I'm not too bright. So, your arms go on like this. So, this color and this color, they don't go on like this. They go on where you can see the seam between the two colors. Like that. Now I know they seem super long for this doll, but that's the whole point of doing a cartoonish character. So I'm going to go in just below my lead here because I want to actually make a divot mark. And I'm going to just figure out where I need my arm to be. And I want to go right up to his neck, like that. Right up. So I'm going to go through the doll, pop out over here. I have to scooch over because I don't think I'm in the correct spot to go through the other doll. So I'm just going to go down in the same spot, but I'm just going to scooch over here just a little bit to the side because I need to be over a bit, I think. And then I'm going to grab my other one that, yes, I know it already has a thing on it, but we're going to ignore that for now, but we are going to use it. So I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through this one, preferably around the same area that I did on my other one, and I'm going to pull. So now those two are going to be attached together like that. So again, making sure your arm has that seam. So I'm going to go back through this arm and through the other arm so I can tighten everything right up. So I'm just going to go down as close as I can to my lead, but not my lead. And I'm going to come out. So I want this to be up at the neck area. So I'm gonna, I know it's probably hard to see with these ears. I should have, so I'm gonna try to come out in the same spot that I already made my divot in the other arm. And you're gonna pull snugly so it pulls those arms right up, but I can still move them. And that's what you want. You want to be able to just move these arms around. So I'm going to go down one more time. Pop out. Outside of the arm. I don't want to be in the arm anymore. I'm going to pop out by the neck. Outside of the arm. So I did not go into the arm, I just came out on the other side of it where this is. Actually, I went through that piece of yarn. I didn't do that on purpose, but so I want to tie these pieces of yarn in a very tight small double knot, and that's going to secure our arms better, but not so tight that they don't move anymore, because you still want kids to be able to move and play with them. So very tight double knot, and then I'm going to take my other needle. I'm just going to cut these pieces off because I don't need that much. So I just cut off some because I just want to weave. Now I don't want to sew. So you have to go down really close to where you just tied that knot, and you're going to weave your pieces. So that'll never be seen, ever. And I'm going to come up in the same hole. So Make sure you've got everything how you want it. He looks funny now, but trust me. So I came up the same hole. I'm gonna tie, just for added security, I'm gonna do another double knot. I'm gonna cut that off, but I'm gonna leave some nubbies and I'm gonna poke it down. So this is just added security. If you're quite sure that you don't have a problem and that nothing's ever gonna happen to your guy, then you don't need to do that added security. So if you don't want to sew Eeyore on this way, or his legs on this way, if you don't want to do any of what I'm doing, you can do your own thing. You don't need to do what I'm doing. So I'm going to squeeze pretty tight, so I'm going to end up giving him a little bit of a belly. So I'm going to tie another double knot, just for added security, so that my legs don't move. Cut it off, leaving a nubby, and I'm going to poke it down. So now they're tied together on the inside of the doll. So far that's what I got. So my arms and my legs, they both move. That one could have been turned, I think, a little bit more, but so let's get the snout done so he starts to look more like a Eeyore, because right now, not so. Oh, you know what we also have to do? Let's do the belly first, and then we'll get the snout done. So let's do the belly, and you're gonna need this other color to do the belly with. And I somehow have a knot right from the get-go. There we go. So the belly does not take that long. It's 9 rows. Put some of my stuff away. So you are going to need to make a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets. We're doing nothing but increasing one right after another. That's number 1, and that's where your marker goes. And you can put the second one in that same space. 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So because we're doing just increases all the way up, I'm probably going to put on my screen 2 rows at the same time, to make things go a little bit quicker, because it's pretty easy peasy. We're going all the way up to 8 single crochets and an increase, so it's just one right after another. So for you avid crocheters, there you go, now you know. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. That's 1 single crochet, and your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Your next round will be 2 single crochets and an increase. I will put them on my screen, and I will see you on the other side. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. I just finished my 2 single crochets and an increase. So like I said, we're just constantly going to keep going up. So that is number 1, always number 1, 2 and 3 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Your next round after this will be 4 single crochets and an increase, and I will see you on the other side. So I just finished my 4 single crochets increased. Your next 2 rows are going to be 5 single crochet increase and then 6 single crochet increase. That's number 1. That's 5 single crochets, and then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Your next 2 rows, and then we're done, is this row will be 7 single crochets and an increase, and then you'll do 8 single crochets and an increase, and then you can fasten off. And then we're going to turn it upside down. So we're going to weave that in, turn it upside down and sew it on, because I don't want all these lines in the front and you see less lines in the back. So we're going to use the back side. Well, you can use whatever you want. I'm going to use the back side. So, I am done mine. I'm just going to go in and I'm going to fasten on. This is supposed to cover the majority of his belly. You're going to need a sewing tail. Mine's probably way too bloody long. I sew mine on with the back showing, so I need to take care of this guy right here. It's very super tight back here, so I don't have to weave him far because it is so tight. But weave him politely, because you're gonna see it. If you're doing what I'm doing, you don't have to do what I'm doing. It's just I would prefer it being on this side than that side. It looks better. It looks like, you know, from a distance it'll look like we crocheted it that way. So I'm just gonna stretch it out a bit. So it is supposed to fit the majority of this space to make it look like it's like half his body. So I just go in and out. I just go in and out. I find a hole to use. And I go in and out, in and out. That is it. You can use some glue if you wanted to glue some parts down. I always think it's a great idea to use glue and sew. So that's what I'm going to do as normal. Because I like security. Oh gosh, I can't even get my glue out. I think it's all dried. There we go. So I just like added security. And the glue is no different than really, oh, I got a big piece of rubber. The glue is really no different than, like nailing and, like gluing and screwing type deal. And if it drips and it's clear, then it's no big deal. So I use glue for a lot of things. So you can sew this on any way that you want to. So I've got my belly all sewn on. So Eeyore was quite tough because he's supposed to look like a rag doll, right? So this was he was kind of tough to make. So if he's looking kind of funny to you, it's because he's supposed to look like a rag doll. Now, in the picture of him, it shows black and then sew marks, like a couple of sew marks here and a couple of, on his legs, like separating these two colors. But when I did that, it looked absolutely horrible, so I didn't do that, and I only did it on his, I'll show you my other guy. I only did it on his face. So we're gonna make the muzzle, and then we gotta put in nostrils, and then we're gonna take a string. You're gonna need glue. Actually, I glued that part down and it didn't stay, but we're gonna go up, and then we'll do the hair, and that's all that we have left. Oh, sorry, we got the tail still. So let's do the muzzle in white. Why am I getting that color? Let's do the muzzle in, this is kind of an off-white that I did my muzzle in. So we're gonna make a magic ring of 6 single crochets. You're gonna do 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So I'm just going to count to 12, but your stitch marker, if you're using one, will go out in on the first stitch, not the second one. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. So this will bring you up to 18 stitches. So again, I'm just going to count to 18. I'm not going to use my marker. It's just quicker that way. So I generally just go 1. This one gets the increase, so I'm just going to count that as 2. So that's 3. So each time you do it, you go up by 3. That's 6. So that's how I do it without a marker. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. So now we go up by 4. I shouldn't be teaching this. You should have 24 stitches. So for the next 5 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. We are going to be putting stuffing in this. So, before we sew it on, you are going to need a sewing tail to sew this on. I like to pull that to the inside because, number one, it straightens that out a bit better, since we do crochet in the round, causing a bit of a spiral. It does tend to be a little uneven when you come back around. So, we're going to stuff this to sew on his face. And it should go all the way down to the bottom. So right up at the eyes and all the way down to the bottom. Everything is oversized on this guy. Everything is oversized. So, we can, because we're going to stuff this, we can do all the black stuff on it after. It'll be solid enough. So, I would start sewing it and then I would stuff it, like leave a little gap. So I start sewing at the bottom. So I'm all the way back around. I am just going to go into the nose and do my weaving into that stuffing. Then I'll come out into the doll. But I want to do my back and forth at least up here. Let's do the hair part first though, because it takes a bit. So, get something you can wrap some yarn around. So I'm just going to use this. I use this makeup stuff for dolls when I make my dolls, and I do the inside of the ears and some shadowing on the face or something. So it's black. It may be hard to see what I'm doing, but I'm just wrapping the yarn around. So you're probably going to need more than that, but I'm just going to stop here so I can show you what to do. So, let's get some bigger scissors. You're going to cut that. So I've got some hair. You're always going to have that one piece can't do anything with. So, once you get some hair, so this is going to go obviously in between his ears and then down a bit. You can take your hook, go into wherever you want it. So pick up a post. That's what that's called, as a post. You're going to grab your yarn. You're going to pull it through. You're going to grab everything and pull that through. So you're going to make a stitch, basically. And that is how we're going to attach our hair. So I'll show you again. Pick up a post. Pull this through. Bring up a loop, because you're going to yarn over and pull these two pieces through that loop, and then you can tighten everything. So that's what we're going to do, and then we'll cut it after. Just make sure this is folded equally in half. And start my next row out further than I started that row. It's just the way I choose to do it. You can do it any way you want. So I'm on my last bit here. If I want to do more, I'll just do more off camera. I have been struggling with the flu throughout this video, so it's taken me multiple days and I just kind of want to get it done. So now that we've got our hair, this is where we cut it. It seems counterproductive, but choose how short you want it and then just cut your hair. So mine's kind of a mohawky style, but I mean, if you want it shorter or whatever, you can do it that way. I will probably do mine a little bit shorter at the back, just because it seems a little long. Sorry, I keep bumping my camera. Sometimes it's very hard to do stuff with the camera between your legs. So you can screw around with it, make it what you want. I think that's good for me. I'm probably going to add more later, further down. Maybe not. You can brush it out if you want. I wouldn't. If you look at the pictures of him, that's my suggestion. You can do whatever you want. So now we just need to add all the other stuff to make him look like an Eeyore. So you're going to need a long piece of black. We're going to try to do this all in one fell swoop. So tie a knot on one end. And this isn't going to get pulled into the doll, it's going to get pushed in. I'm going to do a double knot. My camera is so low. I'm going to start at the worst part. So it doesn't matter where you come in, it just matters where you come out. So come out just under his chin, in the middle if you can. Like I said, don't pull this into the doll. We're going to poke it. So this is where the glue comes in. This will not stay in place, so you're going to want to glue it in parts. So, oh, I left mine open. Hopefully it's not dry. I have a bad habit of leaving my glue open. So, you don't have to go all the way down, but try to stay centered. You don't have to do it all at once either. So take your string. Now if this is see-through glue, you're not going to notice it. So I tap it because I want the glue on top of the thread as well as under it. This is the spot where it doesn't want to stick, is right at the crook of the nose. You can use hot glue too for an instant effect. So I got nothing to wipe my hands on. Anyway, because we've got this yarn. So just hold it there for now. We can go in at the very top so you can't really see where it is. And wherever you want to make your eyebrows, you can come out that hole. I'm stuck on something, of course. I'm stuck on everything. So, probably won't have to glue that part down But I found with my other one that in not gluing it down, this crook at the nose and the face keeps coming undone. So that's why I stuck some glue there. So I'm going to put a pin right through there. If it's a wig pin, it's got one of these edges on it. And I'm going to push that right down. So it's going to hold that in place till it dries. Excuse me, so we can carry on. I'm telling you, I've had the worst cold throughout this video. And you know what? My guy doesn't look all that great just because I don't know what it is about being sick, but it seems to make me screw up a lot of stuff. So, figure out where you want the eyebrow to come down to, and then go into that, and you're going to scooch across, and you're going to try to go even, Steven, with your other eyebrow. That might be right. Feeling a bit better today, so hopefully I don't screw anything else up. There's going to be a lot of bloopers from this one. So I'm not exactly pulling tight. And then go down. Try to get roughly about where you need to be. You don't need to pop out into the nose. Pop out beside it though. We just want to make sure our eyebrows are... Oh my good lord. See what I mean? When I get sick, everything goes wrong. So, if you've pulled it too tight like I just did, you can pull it out. Me, I gotta pull my whole thing out because mine is longer than the other one, so I gotta put him in a different place. Does that seem even? I don't know. It's a tough one. So, from here, we've got nostrils and then the two sew marks. Sorry, I just hit you again. The two sew marks on his nose to do. If he can just learn to sit up on his own. So I'm going to go back down the same hole. And I'm going to pop out his nose. You don't need to be in the same spot because you can just go back down the hole to move your yarn. So that's all I'm doing right now is moving my yarn. Oh good gosh. Animal. You were supposed to sit up on your own. There we go. My thing is really slippery. So, you just need to figure out where your nostrils are going to go. And then make them even. So, wherever you want your nostril to be. I don't know if I want mine that big. I don't know. I'm going to come down and pop out the other side. Even. 1, 2, 1, 2. So that'll put that nostril there. Sorry, my camera shut off. And then I'm going to go up so I'm even with the nostril. But I'm going to keep going up to where I want my sew marks across my nose. So I'm going to go up to here just like that. So that puts my second nostril in. And then I can do my sew marks. So I'm going to go in because that's where I want this to go. So I'm going to go in here. But I'm going to pop out where I want my second sew mark to be. And then put my second one in. And at this point you can pop out wherever you want to pop out. My second sew mark. Just like that. Not sure if I was on camera. I'm going to leave this pin in until this dries entirely. Because I don't really want it to move. So now he looks like an Eeyore. Before he didn't really look like an Eeyore. So I'm going to go back down the same hole because I just want to move my yarn. So I'm going to go back down and I'm going to pop out wherever I pop out, doesn't matter. And this is where you're going to tie another knot. So just like the other end, we're going to poke it down. Just like about everything we do. Everything we do on this channel. So we just need a single one. Don't tie it super tight because you don't want the knot to be so small that it doesn't catch on anything. But I doubt anyone's going to be trying to rip off your... It's got a long way to go because we used one piece of yarn. So it's got a long way to go before anyone can rip that off. So now you just got to straighten everything back out. I think my nubby's a little long, so I'm just going to snip off a little piece, but I'm still leaving a nubby. And then I'm going to poke this down. So now we just got the tail left to do. So like I said, I'm going to leave this pin in here until everything is dry, so probably until tomorrow. I'm not going to take it out. So, let's move on to the tail. You're going to need a black button and some pink, like dark pink, not this color pink. You're going to need some dark pink yarn. So I've got my black button. I'm back with my blue. And I'm going to use this Red Heart sparkly pink for the bow. So, I'm going to tell you how I screwed up my, Eeyore. The reason his arms look so long, because they're not supposed to look this long, is because when I was partway through this, and actually you could probably see it on here, I'm right about here, and I've got to get a new ball of yarn. Yeah, that's where everything went wrong. So I bought all these from Michael's. They all came at the same time. I ordered them all at the same time. They were all supposed to be the same. This is not worsted. I was using worsted yarn. This is not worsted. And I didn't have any other choice because, like I said, I bought this specifically to make this Eeyore. And when I made my first Eeyore, I didn't have this problem. I start this new ball during a video, and it's 4-weight. It's not worsted. So that's why his arms look so big to his body, because his body should look bigger than this. So I tried to adjust the stuffing so it didn't look so bad, but that's why mine looks as bad as it does. Because I had to go from a worsted to a 4-weight all in the same project, which happened to be his body at the time. So like I said, I've been fighting the flu since this video started, and it's not gone well. And then when that happened, I just about threw this whole video out. But you know what? Stuff is going to happen. We just got to power through. So I powered through, and he doesn't look horrible, but he doesn't look the way my first guy does, like a regular, like, I mean, the other guy, his arms come all the way down to here, like all the way down to here. So my first one definitely turned out better as far as his body because it was all the same size yarn. And I didn't screw up his legs like I did this guy. I forgot to mention in the video to sew his legs flat-wise that way for the color. So I had to sew his legs on so that they move. And then I didn't sew this one on correctly. I sewed this one on wrong. So it's just been one disaster after another with my little Eeyore. So hopefully we can do the tail. I'm still fighting a fever, but hopefully we can get through this tail without screwing anything up. So we're gonna do a slip knot, and we're gonna chain 7. You're going to do 6 single crochets, so you have 6 working chains because the 7th one is on your hook already. So Now if you wanted to flip this over and do your little bumps, you can do it that way. So that's my 6. Chain 1, turn your work. You're going to do 2 single crochets. We're making the buttonhole at this point. So 2 single crochets. I'm stuck on something. See, 4 weight. God dang it. You're going to chain 3. You're going to skip 2 stitches. And you're going to do 2 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. Alright. So you're going to do 2 single crochets, and in this big space you're just going to do 2 single crochets. So you don't have to try to get into the stitch, just go right into the big space. Gives it a better shape for the button anyway. And then do your 2 single crochets in the last 2 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. So you should have 6 stitches. For the next 2 rows, you're just going to put 1 in each of those 6 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. So we're going to decrease. You're going to do 2 single crochets, and then we're going to SC2 tog, which means we're going to single crochet these 2 together. So just do a decrease, and then 2 single crochets. Now you have 5 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. For the next 4 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 5 stitches. That's my 4 rows. So now you're going to do 2 single crochets. You're going to decrease again, so SC2 tog. Then you're going to do 1 single crochet. Chain 1, turn your work. So that's my 9 rows. Chain 1 and turn. So you're going to do 1 single crochet, you're going to do a decrease, and then 1 single crochet. So now we're down to 3 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. For the next 6 rows, I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 3 stitches. So that's my 6 rows. So this is what your tail should look like. This is our buttonhole where we're gonna attach it to our bum bum. So all that's left in this project here is to single crochet around the whole entire project. Just gives it a better look, gives it a little bit of a curl. So chain 1, and then wherever you can get your hook in, you're gonna put a single crochet. There's no rhyme or reason to where you're putting them. I mean, generally at the end of every row, right? It's going to have a space. So just try to keep them somewhat close together. And you're going to single crochet around the entire project. So you can weave in your end. We don't need a sewing tail or anything because this just gets attached to the button. So the only thing we're sewing on here is the button. So I'm going to make sure my thing is tight, and I'm just going to weave or crochet my end, my straggler in. Try not to pull too tight up here because you don't really want it to be that curly up at the top where the button goes, because it's going to tend to curl naturally, so kind of just leave it loosey-goosey. So whatever you don't get weaved in can just get snipped off. I do it now just so I don't forget about it, because I will forget about it. So we're back around. You don't have to use these 4 stitches, but if you wanted to, you can. I'm not going to. It will start to curl like that if I do it, so the bow is going down here, so I'm just going to fasten off. And like I said, you don't need a sewing tail. We're not sewing this. So this guy just gets tucked away. But try to tuck him away as neatly as possible, because you will see the front and the back of this tail. I don't think you have to go real far, because I don't think anyone's going to be trying to yank your tail off. So let's set him aside for now, but this is what it should look like. Let's get our bow started. So make a slip knot. You're going to chain 15. So you have 14 working chains. You're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 14 stitches. So guys, if you like my videos, I don't mention this enough, and I probably should, I have a Buy Me a Coffee fund down below. Not only can you choose to buy me a coffee, which would be great since I love coffee, you can choose to buy patterns from me as well. They're a little bit more than the coffee. Coffee's like $5. But if you wanted to support the channel, if you like my videos, you can also support just by clicking the like button and sharing my videos. That would be great as well. I don't mention this enough. So chain 1 and turn your work. So for the next 5 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 14 stitches. Easy peasy. So the link is down below in the description to buy me a coffee or buy any of the patterns I have there. I will be adding more patterns. I do sell some of my patterns on Etsy too, if you want to check out that link. But if you guys decide that you want to you're making a project, doesn't matter which project, please share it on my Facebook page. I would love to see it. I love stuff like that. I love to see people using my patterns and what kind of work they did, and it's fantastic. I love the community on my Facebook page, so you can also go there. So I don't really say these things enough, but I guess I just assume people check the description box, but in case you don't, I got some great people on my Facebook page, and a friend of mine I went to high school with, she shares all kinds of neat ideas that she finds from other people on that page as well. So it's not just my stuff, other people's stuff, and sometimes it's knitting and sometimes it's crocheting, and So this is my 5 rows. So you can choose to do a single crochet all the way around this. I do not. I feel that it makes it curl too much, so I don't do that. So you can fasten off if you're gonna do what I'm gonna do. Just fasten off from this. You don't need a sewing tail because we're gonna crochet the center, which will have a tail that you can sew it to the tail. So you just need enough to weave. So, if you are single crocheting around your project, I will give you a pause screen here while I hide my little ends. So that's my little guy right there. Let's make the center. Center's pretty quick. So make a slip knot. This should be nice and tight around this. It should not be loosey-goosey. So chain 5. Do your 4 single crochets because you got 4 working chains. So 4 single crochets. And you're going to do this for 4 rows. Now, you don't need to do all 4 rows if you find that it's not as tight as it should be for a bow. You can just do 3 rows or whatever. I'm just going to hold mine up to it and check it every once in a while. I'm going to do 3 rows and then I'm going to check. I did 4 rows for my other one, but I also used completely different yarn for my other one. So I'm going to fasten off with a sewing tail. Doesn't have to be super duper long. So then this, you kind of just squish this down, and this is supposed to be nice and tight over it. So what I did was I sewed it to be tight, because I mean right now you're probably not even going to be able to wrap this around there. So I literally found the middle and I went into the center part we just made. I'm not going into the bow, just the center part, and then I pulled to make that tight. So then you just go into the bow again. I'm not going into the big bow, I'm going into the center bow. So it's a bit of an awkward struggle, but it has a super duper nice look when we're done. Just make sure you're catching every single stitch. So I didn't do anything with my straggler. I keep my straggler there. So once you've got your thing sewn around and all pulled tight, that's what it's going to look like. Oh, camera's going to die again. So I tied these two just to secure them, because the last thing you need is it popping open. So I just tied that nice and tight. Double knot. The smaller one I hid. So I just want to make sure that's nice and tight. And I'm going to make a knot so that I can just cut it off. My nice tight bow. It gets sewn to the skinny part. Now, keep in mind, we've got to put hair on the end of this, so we're not going to sew this on right now. So this gets sewn on right on the edge, and then the hair comes off the edge. So we need to get our black again, and do some winding and make some hair pieces. So I did 2 in each hole type of deal. So it's the same way you do it with the head. Pull your loop up so you got some room to come through. So you can do 1 in each until you see what it looks like, and then you can make the decision on whether you want to do more. End of his tail is pretty hairy. I'm not sure what's going on with this stitch. Oh, it was a little easier, but holy cow. Oh. So, of course, that does not seem like enough hair. So I went ahead, turned it over, and did it again. The reason I turned it over is because it's easier to get in to the stitches you were just in. So, once you've got whatever you think you need, I put a lot more on my guy, and I put some on the side and stuff like that, so I really put a lot more on him. This guy, I'm just gonna cut him off. I don't think it needs as much as I did on the last one. And then you sew. And you can brush this too. Like, you can give this a little bit of a brush. Me, I don't have a brush handy. My brush is in my crochet kit upstairs. I didn't bring it all. So I'll have to brush mine after. So, of course, all you do is just sew this on right down at the bottom. Any way you want. I mean, it's quite tight if you come up through the middle, but you also know that you're going to get a decent hold. You just might have to use something for leverage. I do with my rotten bad hands. So just a couple of stitches. You don't have to go overboard. And then, even though this is going to be noticeable, I'm going to do my knot. I can go back up. And then I'm just going to kind of weave out the side. And snip it off. So, if you brush this out, like I said, I don't have my brush with me, but if you brush that out, it would look better. So, let me get my, you need to figure out where your tail's gonna go. You think that's about where I'm gonna put mine. So I'm gonna go down and grab a piece. And I'm going to come back through the hole. And I'm going to go back down. And I'm going to pop out just on the other side of that. Make sure you're in the middle of his bum bum. I'm weird when it comes to sewing. I do weird stuff. You can sew it on any way you want. I don't sew well, so... And then, sometimes I think sometimes I think I'm so smart. So I'm going to come out beside where I just came out here. I don't think that's in the middle. Give it a little bit of a tug. I'm going to spill my coffee if I don't move that. And then I'm going to tie a double knot and snip it off. A tight double knot. The reason I decided to sew it on like this is because, actually I'm not going to snip it off. I'm gonna weave it into the doll. My other button that I sewed onto my other guy, he's kind of loose. He's loose already, so I thought I would double stitch. So I'm just going to poke him down. And I'm going to poke him wherever. I'll poke him up. It just pulls that knot down. No one's going to see it. That's the only purpose for that. And then you can put your tail on, just like that. And voila. Well, that was close. Had I gone any lower, that wouldn't have been good. That's not quite dry, so I'm not going to take that off. Anyway, there we go. There's our Eeyore. I'm going to leave the pin there overnight, probably, with his Eeyore tail. I'm going to brush this out, and I might brush his mane a little bit, but I don't really think I'm going to go overboard on his mane, because that's not how he looks in pictures and in the cartoon. He looks all raggedy, shaggedy. So originally, sorry, this camera shuts off every 10 minutes. Originally I had left his hair because he's just raggedy. He's a raggedy doll. He's built like a doll. He looks like a doll. And there we have it, our Eeyore. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.